Hello and welcome to this week's devlog video of my new project, Mini Countries. First of all, I would like to say a big thank you to all the kind messages below my last video, which got around over 1000 views, getting the most successful video on my channel so far after only 2 weeks. I'm really glad it caught your interest and you are interested in the project. In this video I will talk about the point system I've added to the game, the new connection handling, new resource chains, and I will also reveal the competition winner from the introduction video 4 weeks ago. Let's jump right in after the intro. As you were able to see in the first devlog video looking at the UI, there was no restriction on placing new buildings. So I set up a new point system, which is now visible at the upper left. There are 3 different categories: red points, green points and blue points. The red point stands for the amount of transported resources. Every time a resource is transported from one building to another, you can increase your red points. It's not important if the resource comes from a trade building or a storage building, but the transport itself. The green points represents the transport distance. So for shorter distances between 2 buildings, the transport is of course faster, but you receive less points than for a longer transport distance. You have to find a middle way of delivering resources in time and increasing your green points by longer distances. And there are the blue points, which are not even less important than the other 2 points. For example, previously the player was able to place trade buildings on each resource tile on the map, but now the player has to unlock a resource tile first. And for this, the blue points are needed. For unlocking the first resource, there are 10 points needed, for a second one 20, a third one 40, and so on. So the price always doubles the more resources have to be unlocked. And of course, all points are needed for getting new buildings and of course some future stuff. Regarding the UI, I also moved the action buttons to the bottom right corner. Over there you can see the needed points for a kind of building, and I also added a progress bar for showing the upcoming resource. This is a good way to show the player which resource can be requested next, in order to prepare the delivery network in a most efficient way. I also worked on the connections between the buildings. Previously I only had a colored line, which started being yellow when dragging the connection and turned a bit green when connected, but now I created a new path texture, which looks much better in my opinion, and this line will be controlled by transparency. I have some more plans with the connections, which was actually another reason why I've created them. You will see this in future devlog videos. What I've also changed was that trade buildings don't have to be placed within a city radius anymore. Cities no longer have a radius to make the game more flexible, and of course the green points wouldn't make much sense. Just a little reminder for those people who don't know, I also have a Twitter account where I post new stuff about the game quite often, and I also have a Discord server where some updates will be posted first, so if you would like to get the latest news, have a look down in the description. Let's get back to the connections. I was talking about invisible connections between cities and trade buildings last time, but due to the radius change, the invisible connections are no longer available. So each delivery route has to be made manually. When a resource is on its way and the player removes the connection, it looked quite weird last time, since the resource is moving along an invisible track. So I decided to distinguish between an active and an inactive connection. And the final result makes the removed connection stay active as long as the transported resource is moving along the way. No more resources will be sent over the path, and it finally gets removed when the resource has been delivered. From a code perspective, I only created a base class for a connection, which handles the path, the origin and destination object, and I also created 2 classes for a visible and an inactive connection, where I only set the material in the method I call when the connection is activated on the connection layer. I've also changed the behavior of the storage building. The storage has up to 25 stock items for any kind of resource, and they will now be updated visually as well. When a new resource is delivered to the stock, the 3D model also updates, so the player will see the stock status without having to click on the building to check. This week I wanted to reveal the winner of the competition I've announced in the introduction video some weeks ago. I was just showing some first footage without telling you more about the game, and I asked you to have a guess what kind of game it will be, and the closest guess will get a free copy of the game when it's done. And the closest guess came from Bergwerkzwerg, who wrote, "It seems like your game is based on production chains and resource management, leading to the establishment, build-up and organization of a nation." That was the closest guess in my opinion, so congratulations to you. Please get in touch with me so we can make sure you will get the key as soon as possible. Last but not least, I also did some rework on the resource chains. I was already talking about resources like wood, wheat or farmland, but of course there will be more in the final game. When your cities grow, they also need improved resources over time. So out of wood there will be resources like planks or furniture, and for wheat resources like bread or flour. How resources will be improved by industry buildings is a perfect topic for one of the next videos in this Devlog series. So that's it for this week's Devlog video. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, hit the like button to show me you're interested in seeing more Devlog videos of the project. Subscribe to the channel, activate the bell to be up to date and get notified about future videos. Have a great start into the next week and see you next time. Cheers!